I was sent home back to Tulare County in 1959, and they had shrunk my body and put me back to being 4 years old. And I had amnesia because they had done a mind wipe. And I spoke German better than English. And my mama was from Oklahoma, and that didn't sell well. And then when I was in kindergarten a couple months later, and told the kindergarten teacher that Martians had left me on the doorstep, that didn't go over well either. That was not a popular thing in 1959. So I've had a long time to figure out what these memories were. And they mostly showed up as nightmares and anomalies until 2013, an NSA agent decided to use my Remember code on me. And it all came tumbling out in this big mess, and it was all in German. I studied German in high school, but that was in the 70s. So I'm looking at this mass of memories in a language that I speak like a toddler, trying to figure out, what am I remembering? And it took me 3 years to sort it out enough to know what I was seeing. And by the time I figured out what I was remembering, I started getting shot at. Energy weapons. They don't leave visible marks, but they hurt like you've been hit with a log, and they burn. And it's not pleasant, and I'd rather not it happen again. I've been shot 10 times now in the 3 years I've been public. So that's the overview. Where do you want to take it from there?
Okay, well, I want to go back again when you were abducted. At the same time were you abducted, did they actually physically take you, or was you, still, on this planet?
I was physically taken, and Langley, Virginia is on the planet.
Okay, but at that point, so they, okay, and they...
So I was places in one time in the same timeline, yes.
Interesting. Now, you mentioned that at 4 years old, they basically were training you, but you didn't talk or weren't able, I guess, to read or anything. But they, they were, bringing out your abilities.
I was kept in a cell. I was basically in solitary confinement. My head was shaved, and when they took me out, it was to torture me. I didn't go into how they achieve mind fracture. I thought it's very graphic, and I really didn't think your audience was up to that.
Well, I think they would be. So basically, they were brainwashing you and torturing you.
Mind fracture happens when you have a child under the age of 12. So it has to be a child. The younger the child, the more likely you'll fracture instead of just going catatonic. So they start off, they mind wipe you with technology, so you have no memory of your family or even language. You are blank slated. There's nothing there. And so the only people you know are the people taking care of you. And I use the term people loosely because it involved ETs as well as humans. So I was wearing white cotton pajamas, and I was in a cell about the size, a little bit bigger than a bedroom closet, and it had a cot, and it had a sink for water, and I was expected to use the sink if I had to go to the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I lived for this 5 years. And my head was shaved because I would be attached to electrodes on my head. And the first thing they would do is drown you, so that when they put you into the regen tank to bring you back from the dead, that you would automatically breathe in the fluid. It's a green gel, and it's technology that we got from the mantids, not the same mantids that are on Mars, but a different species of them. And we have a lot of technology exchange with ETs. So this is something that people on Earth are clueless about. We have a lot of technology exchange. So we had a regen tank at Langley. So anytime they managed to kill you, you would wake up in the regen tank. And it was dark inside it. So it was the right word. It was a desensory tank. You were in this gel that you could not feel, and you were suspended. The tank was 2 meters across and 3 meters tall, and you're suspended in the middle of it, and you cannot feel anything because there's nothing to distinguish the gel from you.
Interesting.
So you wake up in it, and you're in the dark, and it's like, did they let me stay dead this time? You know. So there's that torture on top of that. You know they killed you because you remember that. And so when one method of torture stops producing alters, they go to the next one on the list. So they started with drowning. And then they went to rape. And remember, I was 4 years old. I was under 40 pounds. I was this tiny little kid. And then sodomy. And then they would shoot me between the eyes with a gun, because the regen tank brings you back in perfect shape without even any scars, just the memory of having been shot. And they nailed me inside a wall, and yes, I was small enough they could do that. One of my memories is being locked inside a cell with 6 other children and just being left to starve to death. And then waking up in the regen tank.
Oh, wow. No.
So this is why I didn't want to bring this all up for your audience.
Well,
these are things of serious nightmares.
Yeah, I think they need to know. But what is the purpose of killing you each time? I mean, and bringing you back. What is the actual motive behind it? To
teach you that death is not an option. You are going to do what you're told, no matter what it is, how repugnant, how immoral, how wrong. You are going to do it because you cannot get out of it. Death is not an option. You die, they bring you back. You're still in the same mess.
I mean, how long can you be dead, Penny, before, and they could still bring you back? I mean,
they can bring you back with full memory up to a week. They can bring you back without memory for 4 months.
So it regenerates you in all this.
Yeah, it's still your body. They just force your soul back into it.
Interesting. How many times do you remember how many times they killed you?
I have no clue. I know I had approximately 2,200 alters.
Oh, wow. Now, how long did Oh, go ahead.
I have reintegrated 30 of them. I still do not know what the others are doing. And I know at least 70 of them are active right now.
But what's all the purpose of them doing this? I mean, with the program. I mean, couldn't they have done it maybe a little bit different than, rape, torture, murder, and repeatedly doing this? I mean, I would think anybody with anybody's brain after a certain amount of time just wouldn't be able to take it.
Whenever that a child's brain gets to a certain point, they choose to either live or die. And if they choose to live, then they section off the part of the mind that holds the memory. And that becomes a programmable personality, an alter. The alters were what they were looking for. Remember, this was the CIA doing this.
Yeah, well, CIA did a lot of bad things.
This was the MK Ultra era. This is what MK Ultra was about.
So here you were 4. I mean, and then what happened when you got a little older? I mean, was this
when they got the correct number of alters, and it's like a computer array. It's a 13 by 13 by 13 cube. So that's how many alters they form, and they're in a hierarchy like files in a computer system. And that's how they treated it, was that they were forming a computer system. I've seen books by people who were in the secret ops. A.R. Borden refers to people like me as, quote, disassociatives. And he talks like you're tattooed or something. But no, this is the process of producing a disassociative. Disassociatives are highly valued in the DoD and the NSA and the CIA because we can be sent to do missions and do it correctly and then be ordered to forget. And we do. We cannot testify against our superiors. We cannot blab about what we did. The cover personality is completely innocent.
No, so you don't even realize what you're doing. You're just controlled to do these functions.
Yeah, except if it's really bad enough, it will leak through your subconscious. It'll bubble up. And they didn't expect that in the 50s. That's been one of the things why that they never let us go, is they want to see the effects long term.
Wow. So what happened when you got older? I mean, when you got to be like a teenager in that age group, what was going on at that point?
I was picked up and monitored on a regular basis. My mom talked about bright lights in the sky and stuff. Helicopters with bright lights make a really good imitation for spaceships if you want to scare people. My understanding from the Black Ops is that 80% of UFO abductions are actually done by Department of Defense, NSA, or CIA. They're just wearing costumes, and people are so scared that the costume registers as reality.
And their motive behind doing this is what?
They don't want the public to know that the government's doing it.
I had a guest on it was talking about cattle mutilations, that she was swearing that the majority of those are done by the DOD and some other, black ops groups from the military.
That's true. They're collecting things for